when you guys received the David Guetta remix and you listened to it for the first time, what's going through your head?
Man, we just woke up one day and it's like tagged in this video, and David Guetta is playing his first show back in Miami. It's going off. You know, it's a remix and the whole crowd's like, all I need.
Yes.
You know, we're trying to make something that's got a lot of love, a lot of energy, you know, and you want to hear that. And I think, again, going back to Live Tonight, you know, I think people just they're hearing 30 people that love each other in a room singing together, you know, and
It's Powertools. We got SHOUSE in the house. How are you doing, my man?
What's up? It's good to be here. It's another beautiful day in Los Angeles.
Yes, we have lots of beautiful days in Los Angeles. But you're also from Australia, which you guys have great weather.
Allegedly, although not many people notice over here, but Melbourne does not have the best weather. Half the year it's too cold. 1/3 of the year it's way too hot, and we get a little window on each side of summer where it's okay. So right now it's okay.
So you're saying there's different weather between Sydney and Melbourne?
Oh yeah, Sydney's pretty nice.
Right.
Melbourne's pretty far south. It's like as far south as the north of New Zealand. So anyway, it can get cold. It can get rainy. It can get pretty average.
See, I didn't experience that when I was I always think Australia is amazing weather, but maybe that's where some of the grit comes from in Melbourne.
Yes, precisely. I think often in cities where you have to shut yourself indoors for half the year. Mm-hmm. Personally, for me, I love winter for studio time. I'm not like, oh, let's go to the beach, let's go out, like let's lay in the park in the sun. I just see it raining at the window, see my synths, see my drum machines, and just like I'm so happy because I don't want to be anywhere else. You know? Right.
So I mean, the things that have happened to you guys, I mean, has been amazing. The original version of Love Tonight, along with the David Guetta remix, combined for over 1 billion streams alone on Spotify. That is insane. You've been remixed by Vintage Culture, Kiko Franco, Robin Schultz, David Guetta, Armin van Buuren. I mean, you dropped an album earlier this year, The Collective Ecstasy, which is a total vibe.
Thank you.
But let's go back to the beginning, and I want to understand how you found your passion for dance music, because, I think you guys have a different type of background.
Yeah, you know, we come from a band background in Melbourne. Melbourne is a very musical city, but traditionally bands, rock and roll bands, turning into, you know, as synths and drum machines were becoming more ubiquitous and computer programs and things were coming out. People started experimenting with electronic music, and we were part of that wave, you know, in the 2000s, late 2000s, early 2010s, when people were starting to bring synths and drum machines on stage with otherwise like rock bands, you know?
Right.
And we were experimenting, bringing a drum machine on, and bringing a synth on stage, and we were listening to, you know, I was listening to New Zealand dub, like Fat Freddy's Drop, and Salmonella dub, and, you know, probably a lot of these tracks a lot of people haven't heard of. Drum and bass was huge in New Zealand,
right?
And little bits of house music would make it over, you know, but not so much. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I turned on drum machine, kick, hat, clap. That's this nice, simple pattern that feels good. And we had a bunch of friends, and, you know, Jack and I met in a nightclub listening to disco at a live disco gig. Got talking about music. A couple days later.
What do you mean live disco? This is in 2015.
This is 2000.
There's a disco band playing?
Yeah, a band called Total Giovanni from Melbourne, which was kind of Italian disco vibes.
Wow, that's crazy.
And live bass, drum machine, and synths, and like big, sexy vocals. And we're at this amazing nightclub in Melbourne that only existed for like 3 months or something, but it got too out of control. But anyway, we met, had a big night. And a few days later, we're in the studio, and you know, it sounds like sounds apocryphal, but the first song we did together was "Love Tonight," which we wrote in the studio. I was playing synth, and Jack was playing on this weird VST on the computer, and he started singing "All I Need," blah blah blah, and then we got a choir together, and you know, the thing, I think our little secret sauce, which was exported all around the world, billions of streams, and all these remixes, like you said, was choir, a drum machine, and a synthesizer, you know?
Now, was it, when you say you put a choir together, it was like, let's get some of your friends.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we got the church choir.
No. There's no choir.
You got friends that
I'm
come
in the
sing?
choir. My wife's in the choir. My wife now, girlfriend at the time. A lot of old friends. Whoever.
And what did you tell them?
responded.
Hey, guys, come over. We want you to sing this hook.
Hey guys, come over. We got pizza and beers. We're going to do something fun. Most of the people weren't really even singers, you know.
Right.
And there were a few like really beautiful voices, which are just our mates from the Melbourne scene that I described before. But yeah, we said, hey, come over, free beers, free pizza. At that age, everyone was like, hell yeah. I don't think we could get out. All our friends have got babies and stuff now, so I doubt we could get them over. But people came and sang. We had a fun day, you know, we had a really fun time, and I think you can really hear that in the record. And then
100%. So the record comes out in 2015, and I think in
around there.
2000. Yeah. And like 5 years later, Vintage Culture and Kiko Franco, they just did their own remix.
Yeah.
And post it, and all of a sudden, because when the record first came out, to be fair, it did what it did in Australia. It wasn't a massive tune.
I mean, you got to understand, we were like an underground band in Australia, you know. For us, getting a few thousand streams or a few plays on the radio is big time.
Right.
You know, we're not expecting to make money. We're not expecting to make it big. We were not expecting it to become a global smash hit.
Right.
So what it did was what it did, and we were, you know, that's what you expect.
So when you when you saw Vintage Culture and them drop the remix and saw TikTok going, what is going through your guys' head at this point before David Guetta jumped on?
But you know, that point is a weird point because it's pandemic starting to kick off.
Right.
We weren't even really playing, you know, we had to get real jobs. I was working as a community arts manager of this big arts precinct in Melbourne. Jack was a primary school music teacher. Still running little choirs.
So you guys went back to like, we're back doing full-time jobs.
I need to get a salary, man. Yeah, because making money in music is tough enough, and particularly in Australia, in Melbourne, we've got small economies, you know, like of music compared to Los Angeles.
Right.
But yeah, we were doing our normal thing. We had to get jobs. Our folks were happy, you know. We were finally settling down and giving up on the dream. And then the pandemic's kicking off at the same time.
Right.
So it's a weird vibe, right?
Right.
And yeah, like I hadn't been checking any of our socials. I think we actually deleted Instagram. We didn't have Instagram.
This is crazy.
And one day I just got into our SoundCloud and it had like 15 messages from Vintage Culture and Kiko Franco being like, guys, we want to do a remix. Guys, we've done a remix. Guys, here's the remix. Can we put it out? We're going to put it out. Guys, it's got, you know, millions of streams. And then I noticed another YouTube channel from like Lithuania.
Right.
Where this guy had uploaded our song. And it had like 10 million plays. And I was like, what the hell? You know, what's going on?
Right.
And, you know, it was starting to explode over in Brazil, thanks to Vintage Culture.
Right.
And Kiko Franco and in South America and Central America. And it was starting to explode in like North Central Europe, I guess, Lithuania, the Baltic countries, where apparently some guy played it at a festival. Everyone in the country was like there. And it was a moment, you know, and that's what that song does. I think it really creates. It's not just another sick track on the night; it becomes like a big moment.
It's a moment of the night. So then, when you guys received the David Guetta remix, and you listen to it for the first time, what's going through your head?
Well, you know, it's a sick remix. Like because David Guetta makes all kinds of music. You know, he makes like silly pop songs. He makes absolute bangers. He makes the cheesiest stuff. And don't get me wrong, I make cheesy stuff too.
Right.
But like he makes it all. And hearing that kind of intense future rave triplet synth thing he's doing, tick, 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 I was like, damn, this is kind of cool, you know? And I was actually very impressed. What a banger it was. Right. Goes hard, you know? It wasn't one of his like little poppy tunes. And he, you know, man, we just woke up one day and it's like tagged in David Guetta's Instagram and he played it in, we just reinstalled Instagram, you know, and created an account because our management was like, God, what are you doing? Our label, actually, we didn't have management, but...
So David Guetta does a remix. You don't even have management. You're still working full-time jobs.
Yeah, and we can't even go, really, you can't go see your friends. You can't go to a bar.
Right, because it's full on COVID.
Full COVID. And I get tagged in this video, and David Guetta is playing his first show back in Miami, at Space,
Right,
I think.
right.
And it's just playing, it's going off. You know, it's a remix and the whole crowd's like, all I need.
Yes.
And it's very surreal to say the least, you know? And then a few months later, we got an offer to go to Paris and play Paris Fashion Week on the steps of the Opera Garnier, which is like a Napoleonic era marble building right in the center of Paris. And we fly straight out of, we say yes, obviously.
Right.
And offer us 100,000 euros, you know. And we fly straight out of lockdown Melbourne, where I can't go to my friend's house for dinner, into the middle of Paris, which is basically open.
Right.
And, you know, that's the world changed from there for us.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it was
5 years later.
It's very surreal.
The world changes for you guys.
In the middle of COVID too.
Right.
Like, you know, so, and that's another interesting thing about the tune, I think, is that, you know, it's not just a big tune, and it was, you know, it was one of the biggest tunes, dance tunes in the world for like that year.
Right.
But it's also tied to a specific cultural moment. You know, COVID was like a huge thing.
Yeah,
for
I remember that's
everyone.
when I first heard it. I think a lot of music was getting shared, or at least people were on social media a lot more. And I remember hearing it for the first time, going, "This is massive.
It got massive.
Like this is a massive hook.
It's a big hook.
It's a big hook." And it wasn't. I'm going to be honest. It wasn't in maybe 5 years later. Or 3 years later, I heard the original and heard verses.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there's verses on this thing.
We wrote a song.
Yeah.
It's
This
not
is
just
dope.
a hook.
Right.
Yeah, we come from traditional folk music. Like I said, bands. We have verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, you know. So, which the dance music world doesn't really do.
No.
And we still do it, you know. And if you listen to our album, there's traditional songwriting forms all over. Even though we know it's like not ideal for the dance floor,
right.
And it's going to be a remix because verses kind of slow down the dance floor or something.
Right.
You know, people are like, what's going on? But yeah, we still do traditional songs. And then again, like, you know, we did this song Sunrise on our new record, which
I love.
It's got dope, and that actually doesn't kind of had verses, but we kind of snipped them out. And then I think, you know, actually Vintage Cultures just sent me a remix of that yesterday. And he's like, dude, I couldn't resist. I'd played this at Burning Man and it went off. Adam 10, who makes really dope kind of Afro house music, made a really nice remix. So same thing happened for Won't Forget You, our other big tune. And
let's talk about the album for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys dropped the single Love Tonight, the original version in 2015. Album drops 10 years later. You guys going for a Guinness Book of World Record?
Yeah.
We guys like
slow.
We're doing it takes 1 year for each song.
Yeah.
What made you decide to put out an album? Because the album is amazing.
Oh, thanks, man.
And it has this timeless feel
Thank you.
that I really love, because there's not a lot of live instruments in dance music, and you guys really craft great choruses.
Yeah, thanks,
what,
man.
what made you guys, hey, we need to do an album?
Yeah, you know, and like I said, you know, we come from this album world, band background, traditional folk music, even scenes, church music. You know, I grew up in church music. And I love dance music, but we got like incidentally thrown into this dance music world with David Guetta and these other guys making these remixes. And then before you know it, we're playing stages in Ibiza and stuff. And there was this pressure which the mode at the time was, you know, single, just put out tracks, as much content as possible. Feed the beast, you know?
Right.
And we didn't work like that, you know? We like to spend time, we like to get people in, we like to jam. And it just psychologically wasn't really clicking for us.
Right.
And we said, you know what? I think it was just our label and management with a great idea. Like, you know what, guys? Take your time, relax, make a record that you think's really beautiful. Get all your friends in, get piano, get guitar, get choirs, and just let it sink into it, you know? And that was a real breath of fresh air. And we deliberately said, you know, let's take it slow.
Right.
Like, to resist the, you know, like the consumption and speed and the churn of social media, like, which can make things kind of worthless, you know what I mean?
No, 100%.
Yeah, it makes things disposable, and it's like, let's try and make something, and thanks for saying those nice words. Timeless is a good one. You know, we're trying to make something that's got a lot of love, a lot of energy, you know, and you want to hear that. And I think, again, going back to Love Tonight, you know, I think people just they're hearing 30 people that love each other in a room singing together,
Right.
you know, and you can hear effort, you can hear patience, you can hear, you know, artistry.
But you're hearing that on the whole album as well. And you said something, you can hear patience, which is not done in dance music.
No, there's not a lot of patience.
There's no patience. There's no.
And you know, I love that. I respect that people bang out tracks in an afternoon, and like, that's cool. And sometimes you can hear it, and sometimes you can hear the urgency, you know, and that track needs to come out next week, and that's cool. But, you know, as a band, we make a different kind of music.
Right.
And that involves people, you know, people, not just computers and machines. And we're big believers in humans.
And I also think this album can not only come out, but I think part of why the album sounds the way it does is because you're from Australia.
Yes.
I don't think somebody based in LA their whole life is making that type of album.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, you know, there's a lot of pull for Melbourne people to move to LA to do music because of the economy, you know. Right. But we were lucky to have this streaming hit, so like we can make money off that and still stay at home where my family is, you know. My mum and dad are in New Zealand, but I got my sisters there, and I got a little baby, and you know, I don't want to uproot my whole life and take my baby away from my mum. Right. She doesn't want that. Right. And there's something about staying there in Melbourne with this interesting little, you know, dynamic musical community that's it's not big like LA and it's not rich like LA. And don't get me wrong, I know a lot of LA musicians are not rich, but you know, there's not much money around. Right. It creates a different kind of music. Right. And, you know, I think we should lean into our special. I think all good music comes from a place, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like you can hear it in those original Detroit house records, New York house records, 100%, LA hip hop, whatever, New York hip hop, New York rap. You can hear the place, and you know that's why, like, you know, Kendrick's music is so everyone loves it because it comes straight from Los Angeles, right? And those early house records, you can hear like the factories that these guys' dads were working in, and And you know, look, I'm not trying to compare our music with the greats, but I want to make music that sounds like a place, and it sounds like, you know, Melbourne, I guess. But we came and we worked with LA people, but we weaved it all through our prism in Melbourne. And Now, let me ask you, with a song like Love Tonight, it being so massive, it's got to be a blessing and a curse at the same time. Because the curse side is, we got to make another one. Yeah. And you keep on, sometimes, you know, and I've had a couple of hits where I know the next 2 or 3 I was chasing. Yeah. And then you get to a point where you go, okay, we can't chase. Let's just create, and if it happens, it happens. Did you guys go through any of that? Oh, you know, of course, 100%. And we even ended up making like a trilogy of these Love Tonight songs. I guess I don't know what we're calling them, but it's the trilogy. We got Love Tonight, Won't Forget You, Call My Name. Right. And that was a way of, I guess, directly addressing the expectation that you recreate that banger. And you know what, like, all those songs use the same drum machine, the same bass synth, the same. We even got samples from each song, and the lyrics reference each other. So it's crazy. A bit of like a funny little Easter egg thing. And there's actually like some of the samples, the synth that we played in Love Tonight, we've put into the latest Call My Name track, you know, and people respond to them, and people, this big melodramatic kind of verse, chorus, narrative, you know, particularly in certain parts of the world, people go for it. But at the same time, we just want to make music, you know, and like, it's a blessing and a curse, but at the same time, like, you know, the income that we get from streams means we can do music full time. 100%. And I don't expect to get another billion streamer, you know, like, and I hope we can feel less and less that pressure and just enjoy the freedom of being able to do music full time, because that is a blessing, you know what I mean? That's a blessing, right? That's already the win. That's the win. Right. We don't need another hit.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone will love it. Our management will love it. Our label. I'd love it. Sure. But it's not the priority. We need to just enjoy the artistic and personal freedom that head has given us. And
Right.
hopefully we can create stuff that's special and resonates with people. You know what I mean? And
Right.
And we do. And like, you know, if you those little messages from people about how a song has made them feel or think or being a part of their life is like, that's profound, you know?
Right.
Even if it's one
Right.
person.
Right. So what does SHOUSE got cooking for the rest of 2025, but more importantly, 2026?
Well, we're going back to our roots, you know. We're putting together a live show
Okay.
for the first time since 2015 when we played.
What does this live show look like? Is this like live guitars?
There'll be live guitar. Yep.
Okay.
There'll be live synth. There'll be live, you know, singers. There'll be little choirs in each city.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to go back to our band roots, and like because we've been DJing all across the world,
Right.
DJing in LA tonight, and that's great, and I love DJing, and we'll keep doing that. But we just want to do pure SHOUSE, you know, an hour of our songs for the people that really love them, the people that listen to the record, to come and see people sing, and see people perform, and so we've bought this big warehouse down in Melbourne. With our Live Tonight money, and we're setting up like a permanent kind of rehearsal studio, recording studio. We're recording other people. We're getting choirs together. We're experimenting.
Let me ask you, is Melbourne so small where you have to buy a warehouse in order to rehearse, or are there rehearsal
rooms?
Okay.
I wanted to lock down a cultural space, and it's not just for us; it's for parties. You know, people put on parties there,
right?
And Melbourne's got a history of warehouse parties.
Yeah,
awesome warehouse parties. But, you know, as things gentrify and things change and they get turned into apartment blocks just like everywhere else in the world. So there's less and less and less. And we wanted to buy one just to lock down that so we can have parties there you know, forever.
Nice.
Hopefully. So we're doing live shows.
So that's you guys are going to tour as a band next year.
Yeah. We're going to do Europe and then hopefully the States in fall. But we're just figuring out timing and stuff like that because it's expensive. We're going to make way less money doing it. It's going to be way harder.
Right. Because now you got to travel with a team of people.
Oh, it's a nightmare. Yeah. But, but we're doing it for the love, you know. Because
management must love this.
Yeah, exactly. Let's make way less money and work way harder. How's that for an idea? But we got to do it. We have to do it for our, you know, for our fans and for our souls. And it's going to be nice to just play music,
all of your music, which is great because when you do a DJ set, you're mixing,
which is nice and interesting and cool and like. But I think when people come see a DJ, they should be coming for a dance party. They shouldn't be coming to hear all our songs, you know, And you know, traditional DJs, you're playing the night, right? You know, so I want people that we want to create a thing for people that want to see us live, hear an hour of pure, bombastic, dramatic, silly SHOUSE music. They can come.
Nice.
And we're really excited to be putting that together.
That's exciting.
So, and then we're just doing more music. You know, we'll do another album, and like I said, use this freedom that we've been gifted by all our listeners to make music.
Right.
And we'll do more bangers. We're also doing this thing called Communitas in Melbourne, and I want to take this around the world too, where we get up to 2,000 people together, and like we did in an old cathedral and a big town hall. It's not a religious thing, but it's big choir, song and dance and performance where nobody's in the band, nobody's in the audience, sorry, everyone's in the band, and it's
everybody comes and sings.
You're not supposed to watch, you know, you got to get involved. And I know like America's actually got an amazing history of this kind of music and some of the black churches, and like Kanye even did that kind of Sunday service thing, but this is not religious, you know, and ours is, I don't know, it's a big participatory music thing that we want to do because one thing that we've taken away from the DJ experience is, you know, it's all these people more and more like watching this, you know, Golden God DJ on like a platform.
Golden God.
Yeah, like instead of like just looking at each other and dancing, you know, or even better, make music together. So that's another, like, it's unplugged, it's acoustic, there's no beats. except for the ones that we make with our hands, you know.
Right.
And that's another thing we're experimenting with that we'll probably do around our live show. So, yeah. But then we're going to keep making bangers and keep getting the drum machines out as well and, you know, have fun.
All right, man. Well, it's great having you here on Powertools, and I'm excited to see the live show when you guys come back next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the fall you hit LA. That's gonna be dope.
We love LA. Yeah. So yeah, keep an ear out for our live show, guys. And thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure chatting.
Yeah. Sure.